So best way to do this is, if you've never done it before, you have two options. You can either go full in, full send, jump into it, or you can ease your way into it. So if you want to ease your way into it, what I recommend is over the course of a week, so let's start with Monday, you have your normal warm shower in the morning, and then you turn it to cold for the last 30 seconds, manage that. Next day, have your normal shower, turn it to cold for a minute. Next day, a minute and a half, 2 minutes, so on and so forth, until you're at the end of the week. And then the following week, I would just go, nope, I don't get the warm shower anymore, or I get less and less of the cold shower. I get 30 seconds less, I get a minute less, until you get to that whole just a cold shower, where you're starting the shower cold, finishing the shower cold. And then you want, once you're doing a full cold shower, you want to shoot between, I would say, 1 to 5 minutes, depending on what you can handle. 5 minutes is kind of where I prefer to be, is in that 3 to 5 minutes, because I think you're getting enough of the cold that you're getting more beyond just that like mental resiliency, like bam, cold water on me. Part of it, you're actually starting to drop your body temperature enough that you're going to see some of these other effects starting to take place. And that's one of the differences between just having a cold shower, I find, and getting in like a full ice bath, is back to that thermostat versus the room. When you just have a cold shower, yes, it's still cold, hits you in the face, cold on your body for a minute, and we definitely get the hormonal response and that mental part really stimulated, but we don't actually change the room and the temperature in the room all that much compared to when we get in like an ice bath. So I find the cold shower is like very powerful for the mind, and then the ice bath gets into more of the other stuff for the rest of the body. So that's how I would do the cold shower, is progress into it, or just fully go into it between 1 to 3 minutes, or sorry, 1 to 5 minutes, being a good starting point. If you guys want to go beyond that and get into like an ice bath, my suggestion, fill that foot tub full of cold water, and then grab about 3 of those big bags of ice, tear them open, dump them into the water, and then don't get into it right away. Give it, say, 5 to 10 minutes for the ice cubes to actually bring the temperature of the water down and cool that water even more before you get into it. And then do anywhere between probably, if you're new to it, 1 to 3 minutes. If you're a bit more experienced with it, you can get back up to that 5-minute marker. Big piece for us is like, if we are in that and we start to really heavily shiver, that's definitely your body telling you it's a sign like, hey, time to get out. So even if you're not at the marker that you want, but you're heavily shivering, then it is time to get out anyways. Just listen to your body on this stuff, you guys. So that's how I would do the ice bath. And then obviously the lake, we talked about that a little bit. Make sure you're doing it in a safe environment is kind of the biggest piece there. And then when we're doing this, and there's a couple ways to do it. So what we're essentially doing when we get in the cold is using the elevation of our nervous system to actually bring it down lower. So if this is the baseline that we want to be at, most of us actually operate about here. We're stressed out, whether that's work, city life, whatever it is, we're a little higher than what we want to be. And then where the cold shower or the ice bath comes in is even higher up here. So because we're already elevated, to down-regulate our nervous system, we can either try and come just down, or by going to the extreme and coming higher, it allows us to drop below that base that we were already at. So that's how we're actually using that cold therapy and the like, bam, like this is really cold, to actually down-regulate the body, versus you would think, oh, this is up-regulating, and it certainly can be up-regulating, especially when you first get into that cold. But then we're able to, because we go to this high-end piece, we see the black and the white, right? Like, you don't know what good is without bad. You don't know what hot is without cold, all of those things. When we go up here, it allows us to bring our nervous system back down. So there's 2 ways that we can approach this. We can either approach it as like, okay, let's get really hyped up and let's go get in that cold, and like, woo, like jumping up and down, breathing like quickly, and maybe you do some push-ups or some air squats and you go running off into the water and you're like, yeah, I got this, all hyped up. That is one option, and that's really like, how high can we elevate that? Or what my preference is to try and stay as calm as possible through that stimulus. So that would look more like, okay, like cool, calm, walk over to that water, nice and calm, like walk over there, managing your breath, then try not to have any response when that cold hits, and just continue to breathe normal, not like get elevated, not like hold your breath, any of that. Just go, get in it, settle in, stay as calm as you can, get out nice and calmly. And they're both going to be beneficial. They're both going to, in the end, help us regulate our nervous system. Just two different approaches that we can go at it with. I prefer the one of like cool, calm, because I think we are all so amped up already that I don't know that we need to go that much higher. I think just the cold is high enough for us that we don't need that extra little boost on top of that. Just like come up, then try and come down. And when you can get into that cold and manage your nervous system, you wouldn't believe, especially as you continue to practice this, how much that transfers over to other day like things. Like suddenly you're in traffic and somebody cuts you off. Instead of screaming at them, you're just like, oh, whatever, carry on. Or like whatever stressful environment. If something in your environment comes up that's very stressful, you will eventually learn that like your response to it is just, you're still responsive to it. So if like a dog suddenly barks out of nowhere, or a screaming horn and brakes locking up, you're still responsive to it. It's not to say that you don't respond to it, but then as soon as that moment passes and you realize there's no danger there, you're, instead of staying elevated now, you're able to just be like, and back to where I was. So that's one of the other huge pieces that I see happening for people as they continue to do this, is that they just have better day-to-day regulation of their nervous system. So if we're looking at that kind of more chilled out version of it, where we're not amping ourselves up to go get in the cold, we're trying to stay pretty cool and calm with it, here's my suggestion as far as like a breathing protocol to go with it. So remember, once we're in the water, we want to shoot for like 1 to 5 minutes in there. We want to approach it nice and slow. So what I do is a breath cadence that basically it's like you have the option to like inhale, hold, exhale, hold. So there's going to be 4 numbers there. So what you're going to do is like an inhale, 3-second inhale, no hold, 4-second exhale, no hold. So it would be like a 3-0-3-0, and you'll do 3 breaths at that. So 3-0-3-0, and then you're going to do 3 breaths at 4-0-4-0, 3 breaths at 5-0-5-0, and go up and up and up and up until you're ready to get into the water. Or basically you'll learn to time like where that high end point is for your breath, like the longest breaths you can do comfortably, and timing like, hey, time to get into the water. So like in my case of like walking over to the lake, I would time that knowing like when I left my house at this cadence to get to the water, I want to be at my like 6s, 7s, or 8s, or whatever it is, so that I just like finish that off and into the water I go. Or if you're doing it in the shower, just spend time there, standing there, like 3s, 4s, 5s. Okay, 5's where it's at for me, or 6 is where it's at for me. And then you go, you get in the water. As soon as you guys get in the water, first thing I want you to do, you're going to want to panic. I want you to try not to panic. I want you to just take 10 nice, slow, deep breaths, as steady and slow and calm as you possibly can, and do it all through your nose. So most of the breathing I get people to do is always through your nose. There's a reason for that. We won't get into it, but the nose is meant to breathe. Use your nose to breathe for these. So once you get into that cold, just try and like calm yourself as much as you can. 10 breaths, nice, easy, slow, calm breaths in and out as your starting point to really settle into it. If you're going for 3 to 5 minutes or something, you're going to obviously go beyond that 10 breaths, and you just want to continue that nice, slow breathing pattern. If you're like really shocked by the cold, that 10 breaths is like a really good thing to focus on. And by that 10th breath, usually your nervous system has settled into like, okay, I'm in cold water, I'm okay. So if you're new to it, make that your focus, is like, even if you don't do a minute or 5 minutes or 3 minutes, whatever it is, get 10 breaths in before you get out, so that you're not just like, oh, I'm shocked, jump out. You at least do a little bit of time in there, learn to manage your nervous system a bit better, so that the next time you're a little bit better each and every time that you get in there. And then to finish it up, when you get out of the water, there's a couple ways that we can kind of finish this off. So we can either do basically like 5 rounds of 10 breaths with a breath hold, and it's kind of like a hyperventilation type breath. So it's kind of looks like this. It's like, and we do 10 of those, and then we fully exhale, hold for 10 seconds, and then go back to that and do that 5 times. And that kind of can use your breath to warm you back up. So that would be kind of like option 1. Option 2 that you can use is like a 1-2-1-0 breath. So that would be like the cadence for it. It wouldn't usually be the 1-2. So it would look more like 3-6-3-0. So 3-second inhale, hold for 6 seconds, 3-second exhale, go right back into the inhale, 3-second inhale, 6-second hold, 3-second exhale, 3-second inhale, so on and so forth. That's another option to kind of like finish it off and warm you back up. The last one is to basically, if you guys have ever seen any Wim Hof type stuff, basically he'll get in the cold and then he'll do what's basically called like a horse stance. So think like a wide squat and like a quarter squat, and then he'll kind of do this hand movement where he's like this, and he's doing some breathing work. Really, I think a big piece of that is that you're getting that rotation, you're getting that breath, and you're getting movement. I don't think it's necessarily specific that it has to be that exact movement pattern. I'm sure if you were to ask him, he would say that's just what I kind of chose, because you're in that quarter squat, your legs are engaged, so they're working, you're rotating through your entire core, you're moving your arms, you're circulating blood everywhere, you're forcing the whole body to work a little bit. So another option to warm up is just like light movement exercise to help warm you up again as well. And those are all ways that you're going to warm yourself up naturally, whether that's through like breath, movement. Fourth option would be to go jump in a sauna, a hot tub, a warm bath, a hot shower, those kind of things. Have a big glass of tea, put on some warm clothes, and use that to help warm your body back up a little bit. With that, if your goal is really to increase your metabolic rate and get some of these other benefits, you're probably not going to get quite as much of that because you're not letting your body warm itself up. You're doing it, but obviously there's tons of benefits to things like sauna as well. So I also personally love going back and forth with contrast. So just depends on what your goal is exactly. You're going to definitely, if you're getting in the ice bath, you're going to get all of those benefits. Even if you still warm up, you're just not maybe going to get quite as much of certain ones, but you're still going to get that, all of the benefits that come with like that shock of the cold. So don't be too worried about that. If that's what's deterring you from getting in, is like, oh, well, it takes me a really long time to warm up. That's probably a sign that you need to work on that side of things. But you can also, like, if you have set amount of time and it's like, I need to get to work and not be shivering, then it's like, okay, go have the hot bath, whatever, it's fine. So those are kind of options for it as far as how we can warm up. And usually with the cold shower too, you typically don't need to do a warm up with it, like of the breathing after, or like putting on excess clothes, or jumping in a sauna, or having a hot shower after. If you're only doing 3 to 5 minutes of cold showers, you're pretty good to just get up, and your temperature in that room again doesn't drop so low that you might want some of those other options. The shower is pretty good that way. It's more when you're getting into ice bath type stuff. So that's pretty much what I got for you guys on the cold. If you guys have been in the cold and done any kind of cold water therapy, drop into the comment section. Let me know how it went for you and kind of what you did, what your protocol was, what it looked like for you, or if it was like a one-off, I did a polar dip at New Year's kind of thing. Share that into the comments. If you have questions about this stuff or getting started still after this, drop those into the comments as well, and I will get back to you with answers on all of that stuff.